I was there when the Empire laughed. That moment is burned into my memory more vividly than the day my homeworld fell. The laughter echoed through the Hall of Dominion, bouncing off crystal pillars and golden banners, a sound of arrogance, so complete it drowned out reason itself. I remember standing alone at the center of the chamber, a scarred relic among polished uniforms and jeweled crests, holding the weight of a warning no one wanted to hear. And I remember thinking, with a sinking certainty, that the Empire was already dead. It just didn't know it yet. My name is Kael'thur of the Virex, once a commander in the Eastern Spiral Wars. I am officially listed as a non-essential survivor, a designation reserved for those whose experience contradicts Imperial doctrine. I was spared execution only because my species had already been rendered extinct, and the Empire found a certain irony in letting the last of us live as a curiosity. They brought me before the High Council because humanity had entered Imperial space. Not as conquerors, not as supplicants, but as soldiers. The Empire believed this would be a brief campaign, a minor corrective action against a primitive species that had expanded too aggressively, too quickly, without permission. Humans had no place in the galactic hierarchy, the Council said. No unified government, no psionic nobility, no ancient bloodlines. They called humanity young. I called them dangerous. Tell us what you saw, the grand strategist demanded, reclining in his levitating throne. His voice carried the smooth confidence of someone who had never truly lost a war. I inhaled slowly. My kind had once been warriors too, proud, disciplined, utterly convinced of our superiority. We encountered humanity during the Helios Fringe conflict. I began. At first, we mistook them for auxiliary forces. Their ships were crude, their formations inelegant. A few counselors nodded knowingly, but then they adapted. I continued. Within 3 engagements, they had learned our tactics. Within 5, they had improved on them. That earned a ripple of mild interest. They do not fight like us, I said. They do not value preservation of force. They value mission completion. Casualties do not break their morale, they harden it. The laughter began then. One counselor clicked his mandibles in amusement. Every species claims resilience. Pain tolerance is irrelevant against orbital supremacy. I met his compound eyes. They kept fighting after losing orbital supremacy. That silenced a few of them. I told them about the first human battalion we encountered on Virex Prime. How our opening strike wiped out their command center. How their chain of command collapsed, and then reformed within minutes under entirely new leadership. They promote on the battlefield, I said. Rank is flexible. Authority is earned through action, not lineage. The grand strategist waved a dismissive hand. Chaos. They will destroy themselves with such disorder. They call it initiative, I replied. I told them about human logistics, how they repurposed wreckage into weapons, how they turned civilian transports into armored rams, how their engineers worked under fire with a focus bordering on madness. They shouldn't have been able to hold the line, I said quietly. But they did. For 6 days. With no resupply, no air superiority, no retreat. And yet, another counselor interrupted, your people defeated them. I lowered my gaze. Yes, I said. We did. The hall grew smug again. But only because we glassed our own cities, I added. Because if we hadn't, they would have taken the planet. That earned scattered murmurs. I told them about the human silence after defeat. No pleas. No surrender signals. No demands. They didn't beg, I said. They recorded. They learned. They remembered. The Empire still didn't understand. So I told them the truth, the part that doomed me. When humans lose a war, I said, they do not forget it. They do not move on. They do not accept the lesson you think you taught them. I looked each counselor in the eye. They come back. The grand strategist stood then, his patience exhausted. Enough. The Empire has faced species far older and far stronger than these humans. You project your personal failure onto a minor threat. My failure. I whispered. I showed them the last image I carried, a human transmission recovered from the ruins of my world. A soldier, face smeared with blood and ash, staring directly into the camera. We're done running, the human had said. Tell whoever's listening, we'll remember this. The council chamber was quiet. Then the laughter returned, louder than before. I was dismissed. Officially, my testimony was recorded as anecdotal and emotionally compromised. Unofficially, I was reassigned to an observation station at the edge of Imperial space, a place where inconvenient truths could be forgotten. From there, I watched the war begin. At first, the Empire advanced exactly as planned. Human colonies fell. Fleets were shattered. Billions were displaced. Victory bulletins flooded the Imperial channels. Then the humans changed. They stopped defending territory. They started hunting fleets. They didn't challenge Imperial strongholds, they isolated them. Supply lines vanished. Communication relays went dark. Entire task forces disappeared without distress calls. Human ships began to look different. Less uniform. More specialized. Some were clearly civilian hulls reinforced beyond safety limits. They're desperate, Imperial analysts claimed. I knew better. They were evolving. Then came the Battle of Karsus Reach. An Imperial armada, 300 warships, engaged a human force less than half its size. The Empire expected annihilation. Instead, the humans charged straight into the heart of the formation. They overloaded their own reactors to power kinetic weapons beyond tolerance. They used ships as shields, as bombs. They broke the armada in 17 minutes. For the first time in centuries, the Empire lost a major fleet. The Council ordered escalation, planetary sterilizations, forced relocations, total war. That was when humanity stopped fighting like a species. They fought like an idea. Every loss became propaganda. Every destroyed world became a rallying cry. Humans across dozens of factions unified without a formal treaty, bound by something older and more dangerous than law. Memory. I intercepted human broadcasts during that phase. Not threats. Not boasts. Stories. They told their children about fallen colonies. About soldiers who held the line. About enemies who believed they were unbeatable. And they promised those stories would end the same way. The Empire tried to negotiate too late. Human diplomats arrived not in luxury cruisers, but in warships scarred by battle. Their terms were simple: withdrawal, reparations, recognition. The Council refused. So humanity showed them what refusal cost. The final campaign wasn't flashy. No grand battles. No glorious last stands. Just collapse. Imperial worlds rebelled after seeing human treatment of liberated systems. Vassal species defected, realizing the Empire could bleed. And when the capital finally fell, there was no human flag planted in its ashes. They didn't claim it. They dismantled it. I was freed during the chaos, forgotten in the evacuation. A human officer found me in the station's ruins. You warned them, she said, reading my file. Yes, I replied. She nodded once. They never listen. As I watched the Empire crumble, I understood the mistake we had all made. Humanity doesn't seek dominati.